Welcome back to Hardball. Today is the 47th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. Do you believe it? Yet still the fight goes on in the crucial swing state of Ohio. A Republican-sponsored law mandates that early in-person voting for the full 3 days before Election Day is no more. You can't vote Monday, Saturday, or Sunday anymore, except for voters in the military. The Obama campaign filed a lawsuit to restore early in-person voting for all those days for all Ohioans. The suit does not seek to take away anything from the military, simply to give it to everybody. Mitt Romney has characterized this effort, unfortunately, as an affront to members of the military. Another cheap shot, totally dishonest. He said in his statement, President Obama's lawsuit claiming it is unconstitutional for Ohio to allow servicemen and women extended early voting privileges during the state's early voting period is an outrage. And by the way, nearly sputtering David Axelrod pushed back on Fox News Sunday. Let's listen to David.
You don't think that members of the military who are serving this country deserve special consideration to vote?
I absolutely do. And the way you stated it and the way, frankly, Governor Romney has stated it is completely false and misleading. What that lawsuit calls for is not to deprive the military of the right to vote on the final weekend of the campaign. Of course they should have that right. What that suit is about is whether the rest of Ohio should have the same right. And I think it's shameful that Governor Romney would hide behind our servicemen and women.
Fox News and the truth are two different animals. Anyway, Martin Luther King, of course, is the president of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. And also joining us right now is Judith Browne Dianis, is co-director of the Advancement Project. Who's been here before, Judith. Thank you. You start, Martin, sir. And this is quite an anniversary, 47 years of the most important act, probably.
It is.
Well, that and the Civil Rights Bill together.
Well, it is. My dad often said a voteless people is a powerless people, and that one of the most important steps that we can take is that short step to the ballot box. As we approach this election, it is very important for us to figure out how we create the climate and the opportunity for all people to vote. And in this context where it seems like one set of voters are being...
Okay, let's talk about the weekend. The patterns of the black churchgoers. People go to church on Sunday. How does that work out, where Saturday and Sunday and Monday being taken away? It hurts the black community especially.
Well, I think it hurts all the communities. I mean, the reality is anyone who has to work every day, which is most of us, it hurts. The reality is we should even look at having voting on Saturday for everyone, not just early voting, but we may even need to change. Why are we voting on Tuesday, in fact? Just because it's tradition.
Because I've heard that. Tell me about this, Judith. Did you tell me about it? Somebody taught me this.
Right.
The black community people often vote on Sunday.
That's right. I mean, the cutbacks to early voting really hit the African-American community, because in places like Florida and in Ohio, you had a program called Take Your Souls to the Polls, where the churches would get together and caravan to the polling places to vote in unity. It would become a community thing to do. Yeah. And now we see these rollbacks in early voting. Why are we making it harder to vote? Well, in fact, we're doing it because for partisan gain.
You think
it's all about
engineering?
That's right. I mean, look at Pennsylvania. When we look at the voter ID law that was passed in Pennsylvania, the smoking gun evidence of that trial was the fact that the GOP in Pennsylvania said, yes, this is about Mitt Romney winning.
You know, I'm just scared for our country if we have a close election and Ohio or Pennsylvania is the decisive state, and we find out afterwards it was because of this Mickey Mousing, this game that they're playing. What are we going to do? What happens to the elections deciding? They say, well, Pennsylvania had this screwy new law that said blacks couldn't vote, basically.
That's right. I mean, we're back, you know, I don't want to be in a 2000 situation. We were there, been there, done that, and we need to be in a place where we're celebrating the 47th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. And what we should be doing is increasing our turnout, increasing participation. But instead, for partisan gain, there are those that want to cut back on democracy, and we all lose in the end.
Are we going to have a big turnout in the black community, Martin?
Well, I think we can.
Like you did last time?
We certainly can. And that's part of what I'm involved in, not just for the black community, but for all the community. I mean, my dad and others gave their lives so that we'd have the right to vote. And so the reality is, as we approach this election day, I think more and more people are going to get excited. I think more and more people are going to have the potential for turnout.
You know what I think? I think parents and everybody, it's not just your vote. Everybody watching this show, I know votes. Well, you wouldn't watch the show if you weren't a voter. Why would you do it? I'm serious. But you got to tell your kids. You got to tell your brothers and sisters and your cousins, you know, get out and vote.
That's right.
You got to encourage the people who are less interested than you are, because it's not going to be decided by just the people who are passionate. It's the people who aren't quite as passionate have to get out there, right? Say this.
That's right. We can't sit home this election. We all have to participate, and we really have to fight back against these laws. And we've had some victories, and we're going to keep fighting these laws.
When's the Pennsylvania Senate decision?
Well, the court decision we're hoping in the next week or 2 weeks, because the state, we found out, the state can't even implement this law. They can't get IDs in the hands of voters.
Terrible law. Anyway, thank you very much, Martin Luther King, as always. It's nice to see you, buddy. And Judith, thank you so much for coming.